This is apropos. Well, having spent years stoking conspiracy theories himself, the latest political crisis swirling around the Trump administration is proving especially challenging for the US president, as some of Trump's most loyal supporters revolt over the Justice Department's failure to release much-hyped records in the Jeffrey Epstein sex trafficking investigation. The president is attempting to downplay the issue, but the saga has plunged his MAGA base into turmoil. In the latest twist, Republicans have blocked the release of files related to the late sex offender, as James Vazina reports.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
The amendments may have been blocked, but the case isn't going away. In fact, the anger over the US administration's reluctance to release evidence relating to Jeffrey Epstein's case appears to be growing across the political spectrum. This led the president to publicly display his irritation over the matter, and some believe that Donald Trump may be resisting as he or somebody close to him may be featured in the evidence relating to the late sex offender and financial magnate. Democrats are also growing impatient.
What are you hiding? If you're not hiding anything, prove that to the American people. And if you are trying to hide something, as many of Donald Trump's MAGA supporters apparently believe, then the Congress should actually work hard to try to uncover the truth for the American people.
Democrats were hopeful that they could bring about a vote in Congress that would decide whether cassettes, DVDs and CDs related to Epstein's case should be released. The US law enforcement and justice have been trying to put the issue to bed, saying they've found nothing to charge anybody else. But many of those who believe that there may be a cover-up have highlighted contradictory statements by the Attorney General. Pam Bondi has also reportedly been at odds with the FBI's Deputy Director over the issue.
For more, we're joined now by Eric Lisann, a lawyer, legal analyst and former federal prosecutor. Eric, thanks so much for being with us on the programme. This saga, it's pitted Donald Trump against some of his most loyal supporters. How exactly did we get here?
Thank you for having me on. This has been a long-running saga where Trump has basically, and his supporters have basically demagogued this issue, taking advantage of, we could say, the gullibility of their base and stoking it for years on end. But now that he actually has the opportunity to produce very clearly, as he has promised he would, all of a sudden he's now taking the position that in fact, there's nothing to see here, as if he's protecting somebody. And the most logical person that he would be protecting, of course, would be him. Now, why is this different than all other contradictions and improper and even illegal behavior by Trump in the eyes of his base? This may be because it's a simpler one. It may be because this has been tied into a more deep-rooted fallacy about a global conspiracy directing certain events. Maybe it's connected to Trump's almost divine-like status among certain people, but it has, among certain parts of his base, caused a schism, which has been widely noted. Whether this is something that will last or whether it will have any significance politically, however, is another question.
And Trump himself, he's shared some of these conspiracy theories previously about Epstein online himself. Why exactly has he, this convicted sex offender and his death, been the subject of so much speculation and conspiracy theories, particularly on the far right?
But remember, coherence has never been a hallmark or a necessity of anything going on in MAGA world. It's largely driven on primitive, almost reptilian reactions. This is something that's been very easy to grab onto. It ties into some other early sort of wild conspiracy theories, and there is legitimacy to it in the sense that Epstein is in fact a sex trafficker, and there are obviously other people that seem to be protected here, and Trump is the one protecting him. But this is one of the long percolating dark right-wing conspiracy theories that has been pushed by all elements of MAGA world, including the most extreme elements. not only the Christian evangelicals, but the the white supremacists and the virulent sort of race war adherents. And they have a strong voice within Trump's base. So it's not something that they're going to let go easily. But the question of what power they're ultimately going to have against weapons of disinformation remains to be resolved.
And do you have concerns as a lawyer about how all of this has been handled by Donald Trump? Is there any evidence to suggest there has been a cover-up?
Well, there's tremendous evidence to suggest that we, the public, don't know more than the tip of the iceberg as to what's going on. And this goes back at least to Trump's first term and the circumstances surrounding Jeffrey Epstein's death while in federal custody under the directions of Trump and his then Attorney General, William Barr. We never got an accurate or full investigation of the matters surrounding his death, how this could possibly have occurred. Everybody knew that this was a high-risk defendant, and yet in front of everybody's eyes, he suddenly died, and we never got an explanation. So that is a huge question. After that, no evidence has ever been released, despite people on both sides of the aisle asking for it. Right now, Democrats in Congress are pushing very hard to have all the evidence released, and it is the Republicans in Congress who are joining Trump in trying to block it. On top of all that, it has always been the position of everybody in an official role that there is evidence here, but and Trump's own people have been pushing that, including the leader of the Attorney General, Pamela Bondi, including the top two officials in the FBI, Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, who are fierce partisan Trump loyalists. Up until this very moment, they have always insisted the evidence is there. Pam Bondi insisted she had it literally on her desk. She called in a lot of right-wing influencers / sycophants and gave them what she said was a taste of it, but there was nothing there, so she played them all like the fools that many people would argue that they are. So this has helped stoke the fires. So there is reason to believe that there is something there. And now all of a sudden, for reasons unknown, there is a dramatic reversal and a claim by Trump and his attorney general and the director of the FBI that no, after all, there isn't anything there. But we do know, for example, that of all people that might be in there, Trump is the one that's mentioned the most, because portions of Epstein's contact list have been previously released, and Trump is mentioned in there more than anybody else. Trump has 20 separate contacts on Epstein's list. He shows up 7 different times on Epstein's flight logs. There's numerous photographic and video evidence of Trump and Epstein together under circumstances which might indicate Trump was very familiar, at the very least, with Epstein's activities. So there is reason to believe that that there's been dishonesty here and that there is something that is being covered up.
And Eric, this appears to be the first time that Trump loyalists have so publicly, overtly revolted against him. What does this suggest to you that perhaps trouble lies ahead for the US president when it comes to that MAGA base?
It's fashionable to say that, and that is the conventional wisdom, that this is a schism that will not be easily, if at all, mended. I'm a little bit skeptical of that, just because this is an easily manipulable base. They're siloed in terms of information or disinformation. At the end of the day, Trump has always had his will with them. But this is probably the sternest test to date of the loyalty and the gullibility of his base. He's applied a lot of pressure to people at the top of the information silos to start pushing his line. People such as Charlie Kirk have all of a sudden said, okay, there's nothing more to see here. We're going to move on. We're going to accept that Donald Trump knows best, as he always does. So some people are falling in line. So it's hard to really say with certainty what is going to happen in the future. And it's difficult to say whether it really matters, because right now Trump has control over other elements that might be even more important than his so-called popular base. He seems to have an iron grip on the Supreme Court, and he seems to have an iron grip on Congress, at least as it is presently constituted right now. And though that might be enough for Trump not to even need to worry about this particular controversy.
And Eric, has it been alarming for you at all as a lawyer to see the country's, senior law enforcement officials feuding over what essentially amounts to a conspiracy theory?
There are many, many alarming things that have gone on since the moment Donald Trump took office and even before. This would be another in a long list, but I don't know if this is the most alarming of them. It might be from the standpoint of a right-wing extremist or a political operative tied into the political power of Trump's base. It might be alarming. I think for the rest of the country, there are far more fundamental issues at stake right now.
Could there be wider implications, though, for the justice system, for the FBI?
Well, there could be. Right now, the FBI is under the top two officials are extreme Trump loyalists. If they have to be changed, that is always a big deal, changing leadership at the top of the FBI. In fact, the top position is supposed to be a 10-year term, which Trump already broke that norm by forcing out the previous director, who was all too willing to leave, and then he installed Kash Patel. But those are Senate-confirmed positions. So at the very least, yes, it does pose the risk of being a huge distraction. But the operation of the justice system in terms of the federal prosecutors and the FBI has been very problematic anyway since Trump came into power, because he has purged an enormous amount of those individuals, not only the high-ranking leadership, but all the skilled, very high percentage of the skilled career people that populated those places. And he's had the stated intention to turn it into both of those institutions into partisan ones that will fulfill his personal will. So these have always been areas of concern.
That's all we have time for, Eric, but thank you so much for being with us on the programme. That's Eric Lisann, lawyer and legal analyst. That's it from us for now. Do stay with us, though, for more world news here on France 24.